Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Monday, March the 3rd. We are happy to have you guys in for another episode of the show. The voice is not better, but the content is only going to get better because we got new information on how the Titans are going about making this number one overall pick and the things that are informing the Titans' process to making the number one overall pick. We're going to give you some insights and information that I think are well worth hearing, and we'll work our way through that. We'll talk about players who are getting tagged on the franchise tag right now. The window is still open for a few more days, if I'm not mistaken, because March the 4th coming up tomorrow, as a matter of fact, at 3 p.m. Central Time is the deadline for the tag, and we will have more information there. We will, Gnarly says, love insights and information. Well, good, because we got quite a few to share here with you. And B French says the best cure for my broken vocal cords is to drink some whiskey. No, I feel like whiskey, black coffee, basically everything that I was drinking in Indianapolis for a week, a combination of tequila, black coffee, and smoke is the reason that I sound like this. Eventually we will pull ourselves out of it, but not today. Today you're just going to have to suffer through it with me, and we will work our way through the information in the meantime. Stephen Crozio says, we already know that T. Higgins and Trey Smith are tagged. Yes, but the Sam Darnold factor is looming out there. And obviously, Stephen, if your grocery shopping items that you have on your little list heading into free agency in 9 days from now look a lot different with those three players potentially on the tag, then what is the pivot for you as a franchise, which is the thing that we have to talk about later on. Matt Moist, which is just a terrible name. I hope that's not your real name. Good God. Says, Buck getting hit with some shade from Bussin' with the Boys. I know I texted those two idiots and said, if you're gonna take a shot at me, I don't even. It's funny that they're talking about a fake radio voice when I can't even get my real radio voice to work today. But he said, if you're going to slander me and take shots, then at least use a skinnier picture. Jesus Christ, that was 52 pounds ago. Shame on them both. But I am happy for the entire crew, mostly for the people that work for those two, because thank God they didn't leave Barstool without a plan. That was my initial concern for Jack and JP and Garrett and the rest of them. Anyway, we will get into the insights and information that we have ready for you, and we will enjoy this process together. Bart will entertain you at the end of the show with whatever it is that you missed this week, and we'll look forward to that. But first, we have to share the broadcast around, and you know how to do that. You can retweet it on Twitter. You can share now to public in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen on Facebook Live. If you're on YouTube or Twitch, like the video, hit that thumbs up. The thumbs up helps us. We need, God knows, all the help that we can get. Honestly, it's been a really successful offseason. Honestly, it was a really successful football season, given the fact that their season was over in October. The way you guys support this stuff really confuses me. I don't know why. The way that you guys continue to show up and show out every night, but we always appreciate that, even though we do ask you to do more and hit that like video, if you would be kind enough to do so. And once you've done that, more of you all will trickle in here, and we'll keep the conversation going. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the Zen Sports Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising, and I am proud, as always, to be presented to you by the wonderful people at Zen Sports. Promo code ATOZTN gets you in on all the action. Terms and conditions do apply. Up to $100 on your no-danger first wager at Zen Sports. By TrueMath Fitness in the Gulch, your first workout is free as a Middle Tennessee resident. No workout ever recycled or repeated. TrueMathFitness.com for more information. By Bart Durham Injury Law, you deserve to be paid, and their experts will get you taken care of at BartDurham.com. And, of course, Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer, where it is currently truck month for you to go get a great vehicle for a great value at TwoRiversFord.com for more information. So, Titans have a lot of different pieces and parts, a lot of moving pieces and parts coming into this offseason. They got a reshaped front office with Mike Borgonzi, well, really with Chad Brinker leading the charge, and Mike Borgonzi a part of the changes. You have a coaching staff that is in a unique situation, it feels like, or in a precarious situation, it feels like, but still under contract, still operating under the assumption that they are going to be able to figure it out and heavily involved in the draft process because you have to have you cannot operate as if, oh well, is this coach going to be here in December, should we really get him that involved in the draft process? No, if he's your coach now, then he's the coach that you have to operate the draft around to an extent. Obviously the front office plays a bigger role, but the coach must have input, and Brian Callahan does because he's a quarterback expert and they are obviously in need of a quarterback. um Chosen says, did Jackson quit the radio show? It was announced Bart is coming back to your show on 104.5. No, I told Jackson that I was going to fire his lazy ass if he didn't do his job better. And so we relegated him off of my show. And unfortunately for me, I got Bart off got Bart off my show once. And for some reason, they gave him back to me. I threw him away like a disregarded sweater that you don't want to wear anymore because you've put it through the laundry and it shrunk on you, and yet somehow it still keeps finding its way back into my closet. So unfortunately, Bert is back on the show at this point in time after we sent him away. But with all the different things going on, the Titans are the thing that we're most concerned about, not the radio show, although it is the radio show's birthday. Happy 4th birthday to the radio show. And with everything that's going on for the Titans right now, because they've only had one good season since we've had the radio show. They've had some good seasons while we've been here, but only one while we've had the damn radio show. There is a lot of stuff that they have to get right, and they've brought in a lot of different experience to do so. So the question that we are going to talk about here tonight, your Two Rivers Ford take in the comment section: who is the top prospect in the NFL draft? To you, you get to pick your favorite, be it Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, or Abdul Carter. Who is the top prospect in this year's NFL draft class to you, and why? Give me a small explanation if you can, because it's really between those three. Shedeur is talked about as if he's one of these top prospects in this draft class, but I talk, and listen, I'm not the only person who has this experience, but I spent a week in Indianapolis talking to multiple people with multiple teams and multiple different levels of organizations, and not a single one of them had Cam Ward below Shedeur Sanders. Cam Ward is the top quarterback prospect in this draft class, and I think Shedeur will still probably go in the top 10, but not because of his talent is top 10 worthy, but because he's the second best quarterback, and he's talented enough that a team in the right circumstance might be willing to add him to their roster, and he may well succeed. Just as we don't know that Cam Ward will succeed or fail at the NFL level. But it's really between those three: Carter, Hunter, and Ward at this point in time. Who is the top prospect in this draft class to you? If you would be so kind as to give your opinion. Your opinion, of course, is not an opinion. It's a Two Rivers Ford take. And as always, it is presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Online at tworiversford.com. Quality American-made Ford vehicles, award-winning customer service is what they offer. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com for more information. So who's the top prospect in this draft class to you? Nick says the best prospect has to be Hunter. He definitely fits the mold of generational talent, and I would agree. He is a player that we have not seen in a generation. I have never seen a player like Travis Hunter play as many snaps on both sides of the ball as he did. And while he expects to do so at the NFL level, none of us expect him to do that at the NFL level, but his evaluation is different than any other two-way player that's come before him because he is built different and he has done these things at a significantly higher level at the college game than anybody who's blazed that trail of a two-way player in college football. You've got Andy on Facebook, James and Curtis all saying Cam Ward. And Cam Ward is an interesting conversation here because he's got high-level traits. He's got some stuff to refine. He's got some Mahomes to his game, which makes him certainly interesting. And he also is somebody who has elevated his game at every level of football that he's played, from Incarnate Word to Washington State to Miami, getting better at each step of his career and ultimately going on to break the career touchdown pass record in NCAA football breaking Case Keenum's previous record. Case Keenum, who also, ironically enough, I think was in college football for 5 or 6 years. So Ward has a good case, and obviously he's the top quarterback at this point in time. Curtis says still Team Sanders, but those Ward interviews were nice. I don't get that. Why would you be? I mean, listen, you're allowed to pick whatever player that you want to pick if that's the direction that you want to go. But why would you go with a significantly lesser player at the same position if both players are available to you with the number 1 overall pick? I personally don't get that. Perhaps you have an explanation that I haven't thought about, but I find that logic interesting. Carter, Ward, Nate Samuel says, Carter isn't going to result in more wins. Hunter is gifted because of the positional stuff, but he's a wide receiver 3 and a CB2, not worth first overall. Yeah, but I know it's counterintuitive, Nate, but to say that Carter isn't going to result in more wins, maybe that's right. It happened to J.J. Watt. It happened to Myles Garrett. There's evidence of that before. But he's definitely going to make your team better, and ultimately improving your team gives you a better percentage chance at improving your win total, because right now your defense, your pass rush specifically, was ass last year, and you are going to have to find a way to stop teams if you're going to improve your win total, not just to go out there and beat them, because you're not keeping pace in a track meet with any of the top teams in the AFC, regardless of who you add at quarterback in 2025. Maybe, in years to come, that changes, but you do have to have a good team to have the best possible chance at success. But I understand what you're saying there. Iro, or Ario, however you pronounce it, says, Buck, who's your best prospect? Well, the best prospect to me in this draft class is somebody that Mike Golick Jr. agreed with me on today's radio show, and we'll get to that here in just a second, right after I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage, GaryAshton.com. Get your dream address without the stress. Yes, I believe that it's a pretty clear answer. I believe that Abdul Carter is the number 1 prospect in this year's NFL draft class.
What does today's medical news now mean for Carter's draft stock?
No, I don't think there's any change. As Adam said, I think it's good news, the fact that on the rescans they saw no surgery needed. He's still going to be able to participate at his pro day. I haven't talked to a single team that's worried about this. He is the best player in this draft class by my estimation. I think most teams agree with that evaluation of him as well. We saw him fight through the shoulder injury, which was maybe more of an issue in that Notre Dame game. The fact that this is a foot injury that he said it hasn't hurt him, it hasn't impacted his performance, certainly, because he was all over the backfield for Penn State this past year. So I don't expect this to be something that would cause him to slip. I'll tell you, there's probably a lot of teams outside the top 3 picks in this draft that might hope that this would push him down draft boards, but he still has to be the favorite to be the first overall pick by the Tennessee Titans. I can't imagine a scenario where he would get out of the top 3 picks. Foot injury, shoulder injury, whatever else you want to throw out there, Kevin, he's just the best player in this class.
So I 100% agree with Matt Miller's assessment. He is the best player in this class. So the way that I, assess that, obviously I'm not a draft expert, but I talk to a lot of smart draft people. I talk to coaches, I talk to scouts, I talk to general managers, not just, the one that I cover, but I've talked to plenty of personnel people in the league, because a lot of people have crossover in the NFL, end up in different places throughout the course of their career. This is now my 8th season, so I've got a pretty good knowledge base that I can pull from, where I can talk to a bunch of different people on a bunch of different teams and kind of gauge that based off what my untrained eye is saying. And, you watch enough football, you feel like you have a pretty good sense. But I'm not a trained talent evaluator, so you still defer to the people that are. And so the unscientific way that I do it is, all right, if there's a quarterback, a corner/receiver, and a pass rusher at the top of the draft, the best player is the player that's better at what they do than every other player that's being considered for the top pick. Abdul Carter is a better pass rusher than Cam Ward is a quarterback. Abdul Carter is a better pass rusher, a better edge player than Travis Hunter is a corner or a wide receiver. By the transitive property, again, unscientific in my estimation, but there is tape and analysis to back up that theory, or that, in my opinion, more concrete theory. It's not quite a fact, but it's a working theory that I feel pretty good about. That, by my estimation, makes him the best prospect in this draft because it's the safest of the three. Two, he is significantly better at what he does than are the other two at what they do. And what he does translates a lot easier at the NFL level than what it is that the other two do. This is going to be fascinating because I think all three could go on to have success in the NFL, at least individual success. We'll see about their team success. But that's kind of the way that I look at it. Now, you can disagree with that. That's completely fine. I understand it. I think that there's a couple of different things that obviously slant the curve, because really, to me, it's between Ward and Carter. Travis Hunter, while I am fascinated by him, is not, so foundational in what he provides that I want to make him the focal point of my football team. Or if I was a Titans fan, I would not want to make him the focal point of a football team that's looking for foundational pieces right now. I believe Carter and Ward can be foundational in their own sense. So I give them a greater degree of weight because they play more important positions than the other one. And the other one, if he's a wide receiver, then he's dependent on the quarterback. If he's a corner, I do think that there are some, he's probably the best corner in this draft class, but not an overwhelmingly strong or deep cornerback draft class. So you have to take that into account as well. He's clearly a high-level athlete, clearly a high-level intellect. He's made of the stuff that Wolverine is made out of. I don't understand how his body continues to bear that much of a workload and doesn't seem at all worse for it. He said, Josina Anderson at the Combine was asking him questions when we were all over there for his media scrum, like, is it track? Are you swimming? Like, what are you doing to maintain such a high level of conditioning? He's like, yeah, I'm basically just up walking around every day. That's how I condition. It's just like, all right, bud, that's completely and totally nonsense. But it may be true. He may just be different than any player that we've ever seen. So I think that from my standpoint, Carter, Ward, Hunter, even though Hunter is the only generational out of the three. Dewan says, Buck, what about Will Campbell? Not with the first overall pick, not a tackle that's probably a guard or a tackle that most likely is a guard at the NFL level. No, not nonsense. He's the best tackle in the draft, but, there's still some conversation as to whether there's not a lot of tackle type bodies in this draft class, because a lot of the arm lengths for these players will get them eliminated from ever playing tackle at the NFL level. They're just not long enough to fend off in pass protection a lot of these pterodactyls like a Myles Garrett, a Micah Parsons, potentially an Abdul Carter, TJ Watt, or otherwise. So my preference here was always going to be to trade back if you have the number one overall pick. Now, here's where I do differentiate, because Abdul Carter is my best player in this draft class, but Cam Ward is second, and that's good enough for me to take him with the number one overall pick. So if you do make that pick, to me, you take Ward, even though Carter, I think, is better at what he does, because I think Ward is also good enough at what he does that you can build around him. But I would still prefer you trade back. In a perfect world, you would trade back and still get Carter and still be able to fill out your roster with a lot of critical needs that they have at this point in time. David Lee says, you draft an edge when you're ready to make a Super Bowl run. We aren't there yet. We need a QB. Of course not. You've got that completely backwards. And really, I think that's depending on a situation. You put the quarterback in when you're ready to go. Like, you find the best possible quarterback solution when the team is ready to go. The Philadelphia Eagles did this successfully. The Seattle Seahawks with rookie Russell Wilson, or rookie contract Russell Wilson, did this successfully. The Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, example after example after example of the best team winning the Super Bowl. The team was there before the quarterback got there, and the quarterback is the thing that set them over the top. You've got that completely ass backwards. And I get why people think that that's the case, but no, you put the team together, and then, the 2019 Titans, that team was good enough. Maybe not good enough to win a Super Bowl, but it was good enough to go to an AFC title game, which makes me think it's good enough to go to a Super Bowl, because it's just one more game after that, right? And what was the biggest thing that set them over the top? They made a quarterback change. That was the thing that truly and honestly put them in position to succeed. Taylor S. Hurst says, I disagree. You get a franchise quarterback when they're available. No, you find a franchise quarterback. Change your definition. Ryan Tannehill was a franchise quarterback, even if you didn't want him to be. He was. That's what it was. And he gave you the most successful stretch of football you've had since McNair took you to the Super Bowl. That is indisputable. Marcus Mariota was not a franchise quarterback. He didn't last past his rookie contract. I don't think a franchise quarterback has to last 8 to 10 years anymore. I think they have to be the right person for the right time in your team's life cycle to make them the franchise quarterback and to help elevate the franchise at a time when the roster is most ready to go. That is the most proven formula for success, not hoping and wishing and praying that the quarterback that you draft will turn out better on a lesser team and will survive all the trials and tribulations of going to a lesser team for whenever it is that you get to put the best possible team around him. No, that's not the most proven track record of success at this point in time. So you have to take that in consideration. There's no one foolproof way to achieve Super Bowl competitiveness, but you're not going to Super Bowl next year anyway. So you can afford to take your time here and put together a quarterback plan that does not have to necessarily be resolved in one offseason. That's Joe Schoen is going to operate that way because Joe Schoen is going to be fired, the general manager of the New York Giants. He's going to overdraft a player. He's probably going to come up and try and overdraft Cam Ward, depending on if they can put together the right package to trade with the Titans. And he will probably be fired as a result. Joe Douglas pressed with the quarterback situation. They thought Aaron Rodgers was going to be the piece that set them over the top. They got fired. Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland are likely going to be fired if they cannot figure out how to rebuild this thing after such a critical error on the Deshaun Watson contract. These things are for desperate franchises right now. And while you are desperate as a fan base, your franchise is not giving off desperate yet. What they care about is having an exciting product by 2027. I think if you caught him in an honest moment, and Brian Callahan and Mike Borgonzi wouldn't answer this way, but I'm talking about the people that matter more than those two. I'm talking about the owner. If you asked Amy Adams Strunk in an honest moment what she preferred, whether she was more worried about wins and losses in 2025 or in 2027 when the new stadium opens, and I toured the new Nissan Stadium today, the construction site. It's 1 year removed from the groundbreaking, and it's going to be a palace to entertainment, not just football, but to all major events, potentially Super Bowls, WrestleMania, monster truck rallies, Beyonce concerts, all this stuff. What she cares about is having an exciting football team by then. So that buys them more time to put together a football team that's ready by the time she opens the doors on her brand new stadium. Her opinion is the one that matters most, not Brian Callahan's timeline. They can get another Brian Callahan, not Mike Borgonzi's timeline. They can get another Mike Borgonzi. What they have to do in the meantime is put together the most compelling product that they can and hope that they're heading in the right direction ahead of 2027 based on the processes that they've put in place. Now, there's a couple of different ways to look at that. Corey D. Jackson says that's a terrible way to come into the next two seasons. Yeah, I think if you asked her in an honest moment, I don't think she gives a shit about the next two seasons. Like, she has to say that she cares and it's her football team and she doesn't like getting embarrassed and she's got a temper. So, something could go wrong and set her off in the right way. But she didn't give a shit about who shows up in the construction, in the dregs of Nissan Stadium these next 2 years. She's just trying to make sure that her product is good enough in 2027 to where you can't drag her for it like you're dragging her for it right now. That's what it is. Chill Mode says 17 points per game for over 2 years. Yeah, I know. I'm there every game. It sucks ass. I watch it. It's terrible. I don't want to continue to do this for 2 more years either, but I'm looking at them and understanding the more that I learn about them and how they go about their business and what it is that they're looking for and kind of the personalities involved in this, I am convinced that 2027 is the deadline for a legit competitor, not 2025 or 2026. It's just, they're just biding their time until they can open the new stadium. At this point, the Athens Titan says she won't sell PSLs if they have no fans. Of course she will. She'll sell money. She'll make money off this because it's really not about the Titans. Like, the Titans are an entryway right into bigger things. And this is the thing I think the Titans fans have to remember. That new Nissan Stadium that I toured today, it's the home of the Tennessee Titans, and that's fine. But give a shit about the Tennessee Titans, right? That's such a small percentage of what's going to occupy that building because that building's going to operate year round. They're putting a roof over it so they don't have to have rainouts for concerts or change changes of dates for special events. They are going to keep that building packed and booked 365 days a year if they can, or as many of those days as they're allowed to. And the Titans make up a small percentage of that. It's not about the Titans. The Titans just happen to be an NFL football team, and NFL football teams allow for the opportunity for an NFL stadium that allows you to host concerts, other sporting events, World Cup host sites, Final Fours in college basketball, college football playoff games, all this stuff. That's just what that is. Like that, it's so she will make money. As soon as they broke ground on this thing, she added a billion to her net worth. The Titans don't do that just by playing football games. You guys got this. You guys got this twisted up a little bit. And they are important because in order to attract these kind of events, you have to have an NFL football team that plays in an NFL stadium, and that NFL stadium has to be up to par to host international events. But like every time I think about the new Nissan Stadium, I don't think about the Titans. I think about everything else that they're going to do there that's guaranteed to be good at what it is. Not the Titans, which are a year-to-year proposition. The Titans are ancillary in that matter at this point in time. Bennett Rand, I mean, hell, they made their nut on the first round of season ticket sales and PSL sales, man. Like, you guys are crazy if you think she's not going to make her nut on this. I mean, she already has. She already has. So it's about, having the best product by the time the stadium opens in 2027, and everything else is just kind of off to the side in the meantime. Now, that doesn't mean that the team building process is any kind of watered down. Like, you still have to do this or people will get fired and they'll find somebody else to do it. But that's the kind of thing that's interesting to me. And there were some interesting details that we'll get to from Albert Breer in his column on Sports Illustrated here in just a second, right after I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by the Bart Durham Injury Law Firm. You deserve to be paid, and Bart Durham will put you in position to succeed. Blair Durham and his team have so many different areas of practice. They will provide for you their case results online for you to learn more about how they have success. You can even go online and get a free consultation today at bartdurham.com. So we got a little distracted here, but the question is, who's the best prospect in the NFL draft to you? To me, it's Abdul Carter. But if you're still picking with the number one overall pick, my preference would be Cam Ward, though I get Abdul Carter, whose podium session I was in attendance for last week, talking about, I'm the best player in the draft. I should go number one.
First, how much do you want to be picked first?
Yeah, it's very important for me. That's one of the goals I made before the season. Something I always talked about. It's what I work for. And I feel like I'm getting close to that. Just got to keep working, keep putting the effort in, and I'm accomplish my dream.
How realistic do you feel like it is to go number one this year?
I feel like it's very realistic. And I feel like I'm the best player in the country, and the best player should be selected number one.
Have you met with the Panthers?
So that's Abdul Carter at his media session last week at the Nissan Stadium. Chosen says, what's the seating of the new stadium? I was hearing the new stadium is below the requirements. They have that. That's not, so it is. I mean, in theory, if you go online to the NFL's basically parameters for a Super Bowl stadium, like the seating capacity that's required, they are below. They are 64. They're a little less than 64,000 seats, which is honestly more than the initial plan was. I thought they were going to come in closer around 60, but they have gotten basically a stamp of approval from the NFL that even though they're below the stadium seating capacity, their suite capacity matters more, because again, it's about that money. So as long as you've got sufficient suite capacity, then your stadium seating, it's not unimportant, but it's less important because they can still sell those suites to offset the cost of, if you were hosting it in a 70,000 seat stadium or an 80,000 seat stadium or Jerry World, something like that. So they are technically below, but the NFL has granted them the approval to host future Super Bowls, even though they are below that, because they do meet the suite requirement. 32 total suites is what they have on offer, or will have on offer, in the new Nissan Stadium. A lot of you guys are getting caught up in this stadium discussion because Chill Mode says, Buck, what you said was a reality check about the new Nissan, but damn, that just made my fandom passion go down a bit. I mean, I hope not, because that sucks. Like, I get that, but I don't know, guys. Like, surely I mean, I didn't think it was that harsh of a reality check, what I just said there. I feel like most people are operating under that assumption. It's like, to me, it's a comparison, or the closest comparison that I can draw is fans of a team versus players who play for that team at the professional level. You want your players to care as much about your franchise as you do, when in reality, that's never going to be the case, right? They care about the money. They care. Some of them don't even care that much about football, but football is a conduit to money, to generational wealth, to obviously job security and things like that. But football is a means to something. And who they play for, yeah, a lot of these guys, and I do take a lot of them at their word when they say, yeah, I want to play my entire career for the franchise that drafted me. And then they go on, and that almost never happens. And a lot of these dudes, Tom Brady didn't, Peyton Manning didn't, right? These things happen to players everywhere. And so it's less about the jersey than it is about the money and the state income tax or lack thereof, or ownership. Do you like them? Do you not? The coaches, like the players don't care as much about the team as you do. They never will. They never could. Because many of them, I mean, Will Levis is a bad example, but Will Levis grew up a Patriots fan, not a Titans fan. Devondre Sweat is from Texas. He probably liked the Texans or the Cowboys more than he liked the Titans. Players who come from all over the country. Hell, some of the international players, they don't know shit about the franchises that they're getting drafted to. All they know is that they have the opportunity to make real money with the franchise that drafted them. And if then, they can have a good relationship with the city and the fan base as a result, that's great, but that's secondary. It's reality at this point in time. Stephen King says Buck should be the voice of the Titans. No, absolutely not. One, I'm not a play-by-play guy. I don't think I would be very good at that. I haven't tried that shit since college, and I wasn't very good at that in college. Lucas would be a way better voice of the Titans. I did hear that they've sent out the interview process, or that they have started to schedule interviews for those of you who are wanting an update on the voice of the Titans. I know, and Lucas and I talked about this, so I can tell you it's not going to be Lucas, because Lucas doesn't have the experience, but I think Lucas would kill that job. But they're looking for a name. They're looking for somebody who's going to, kind of lessen the blow of losing Mike Keith. Whoever they pick is going to get buried, because they're not going to be Mike Keith, right? But they're also going to split that job up. They're going to delegate that, because Mike Keith did so much under the umbrella of his voice of the Titans that no one could possibly replace Mike, because Mike touched so many things: community engagement, in-house broadcasting, not just the games, but the podcast, the TV show, the coaches show. Mike's like the team historian. He has so many different things that he's going to do, or that he did, that you couldn't possibly replace him. So there's going to be multiple people that fill the role of Mike Keith. The question is who's going to actually do the play-by-play games. But I know that Lucas applied. I know that Lucas was looking forward to the opportunity to maybe get an interview, and he can speak for this himself. But right now, I know that he's not in consideration based on the people that I talked to who are on the committee for the new voice of the Titans, and that they are looking to make a splash hire here. It's not necessarily going to be somebody that is local or matters to Titans fans historically. They're just trying to get a really good person to do this at this point in time. Charles Davis would be my choice. LOL. Pay him a big bag. You can't pay him more than a network can. Charles Davis making a shit ton more money at CBS, and also he's not a play-by-play guy. He's an analyst. I think you guys are mixing up those two jobs. Doesn't mean that Charles couldn't do it, but Charles is an analyst for a play-by-play guy in Iron Eagle. We don't have to get caught up in this. All right. So of all the different things that we know at this point in time, we know that the Titans are not decided on who the top pick in the NFL draft will be. But what we do know is that they've got Mike Borgonzi, who's helped figure out a number one overall draft pick before. We've got Brian Callahan, who's helped figure out a number one overall draft pick before with previous franchises, right? You've also got Reggie McKenzie coming in to be a part of this, and Dave Ziegler. who has a wealth of experience. So all of these people, and Chad Brinker, who's serving in an advisory role over the top of all of this stuff, they feel like their combined experience, not, together, but also elsewhere in the league, is going to help give them the most well-rounded process to figuring out what they should do for the number one overall pick at this point in time. I'm curious to see how it plays out, but right now, we know that they're undecided. We know that they're going to play this thing out down the stretch. So moving on from that to the tag stuff, players that have already been tagged has started, and they have less than 24 hours. Tomorrow at 3 p.m., the franchise tag will pass. Who has been the more disappointing franchise tagged player for Titans fans? T. Higgins or Trey Smith? Because now you will not be able to have either of them based on the news of today with T. Higgins specifically. So who are you more disappointed to see get tagged at this point in time? We'll talk about it together right after I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by the wonderful people at True Math Fitness in the Gulch. Go to truemathfitness.com for your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident. No workout ever recycled or repeated. So T. Higgins is the more disappointing one to me. T. Higgins was tagged today for a second time by the Cincinnati Bengals, who clearly have no interest in letting him go.
Dan and I were talking about this too. It's not a particularly great receiver draft. So if I'm a team like the Patriots, the Commanders, the Chargers, I'm calling and seeing if it's a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to get done, but I'm just calling to see if there's a possibility.
And Mina, I think that's exactly what is going to be going on across the league right now. Again, the Bengals have not advertised their intentions other than trying to get a long-term deal worked out with T. Higgins, which is what they should be saying because, number one, they should want the player. But if they can't get a deal done, then they should be looking to deal T. Higgins. And there are people across the league who believe that this could wind up being a tag and trade. Now, we don't know whether that will happen, but I can tell you that there are people around the league who believe a tag and trade is possible here with T. Higgins, despite the fact that the Bengals have said their intent is to sign him to a long-term deal.
So it's still possible that you could have T. Higgins. Trey Smith is less likely because you saw what happened in the Super Bowl. Pat Mahomes got ravaged, and they're not interested in letting their best offensive lineman go, especially as a draft, develop, and retain organization that Kansas City is. Mike Borgonzi is leaving that and plans to institute that at his own place. I'm more disappointed by the T. Higgins tag because I would be interested in him. I don't think it's a great wide receiver draft class, to Mina Kimes' point. And there's, again, no consensus at the top wide receiver really this year. It's a pretty interesting year. It's depth in the trenches as opposed to the skill, the sexier positions, right? And trenches matter. You can't have a football team that gets pushed around on the offensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball. You've got to have, the Eagles are a great example of that. They are superior on the offensive line and the defensive line, and they won the Super Bowl as a result. But I'm disappointed, but not totally discouraged. I just don't want to trade draft capital for T. Higgins. I'm fine with giving him a contract, but trading draft picks for him at this point in time is tough. That's not a situation that I would have liked, ideally, if I was a fan of the Tennessee Titans. So I'm more disappointed by that right now. All right, Bert is ready for In Case You Missed It, which means that I can take a break from talking and you guys can get a break from how I sound, because I sound like shit. And we will get to Bert right after I remind you about the wonderful people at the Zen Sports. Promo code ATOZTN gets you in on all the action, up to $100, no danger first wager in the Zen Sports app. Terms and conditions do apply. Must be 21 plus and in the state of Tennessee to bet. Gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. All right, Bert, take over so I can just take a break for a second.
Yeah, what the hell's going on? And you cannot refer to me as Bert anymore. It is a triple B now. It is Big Boss Bert. Quadruple B, Big Boss Bert, baby. You got to put some respect on my name going forward, if that's what we're going to talk about. And don't worry, don't hurt that pretty little voice to you. You already sound like shit. Let me go off on somebody. Where is this dude at? Where the hell? Who said some stupid ass shit I wanted to talk about?
Is it about us?
Nah, shh. Keep that voice. Shh. It is for you, baby. It's for you. Hold on. It's for you. I didn't mean to holler at you. You know I love you. Ronnie Stanley needs to be prioritized. David, you shut your whore mouth. We're not going to talk about Ronnie Stanley. And then this is a whole lot like, look, Ronnie Stanley is kind of like my ex-girlfriend. You know what I mean? Used to be with me heading into free agency. I don't really have no claim to her. I don't really have no ring on Ronnie Stanley's finger, but stay away from my lady. You hear what I said? You stay away from her and don't ever talk about her again, or we're going to be fisticuffing on the daggum playground. I don't needs a closet organizer. Ain't that a damn truth? Somebody's going to get – stop it, damn it. Stop it. All right, somebody that can do their job and not raise no hell is Jim White. Damn, I'll just play the video to cover that up. Playing videos don't work. Playing videos. Why am I in such a good mood? Jim White, along with a bunch of other Titans media people today, got a tour of the stadium. I'll tell you, they got a tour of the stadium. They got some hard hats. They got to see the progress that's being made. And if I can quote Burke correctly, Burke said that they are 100% on schedule and they are 100% under budget. I got some ideas for what they could do with that budget that they are under on.
You can pitch those to Burke Nihill, the Titans team president and CEO, on Thursday, because he will join the radio show in studio.
You bet your sweet pippy I will. You bet I'll have them all laid out for Burke. Because you know, there's only one man. Why was that
Don't make me laugh.
Why was this dirt and shit all over me? Why was that so under pressure? What the hell? There's damn gas bubbles in this damn thing. Why did that just explode on me? What the hell?
Why would you open it?
I was going to taste it. I was going to say I was the only one. Damn that. It tastes metallic and like mercury.
That's the asbestos.
that's an old paint. That ain't in dirt. That even have to a bunch of goose shit in there. I don't know what
he just said. Triple Burt Bin Laden bombed himself.
But Jim White and everybody else in the Titans media got to take a damn tour today, and Jim put together a great presentation. Now y'all sit back and watch a real professional.
Superstructure wrapping up. Now we're going to focus on the steel superstructure. And kind of the cool fact to point out is that this stadium that you see here, the height at where we are today, we're going to double that with the steel rooftop. So it's going to grow quite significantly over the next
steel rooftop. This is me, Jim White.
Is there any?
Wow! Let me zoom out for y'all. Wow! This is the exclusive director's cut of Jim White. There's a porta-john around here.
That structure right there of that level is about 100 feet from the playing field.
No shit.
And then the top roof of the ETFE roof structure will be 235 feet.
Shut up, Jackie. That's a whole lot of rebar.
Demolished, and then there's a whole 40,000 square foot terrace area.
Imagine if he dropped that
on
iPad.
The west and south sides of the 300 level. So we're really excited about the experience being indoor-outdoor for all of our fans in the upper concourse, in the upper bowl. So it's going to be amazing.
One
of the key features that we're really excited about is our Ring of Fire LED video board, which is what you can see is this band of LEDs that runs the whole roof level. It's 360-degree.
Y'all ain't worth a shit in the yard. Y'all know
LED boards on each end, and then I have another version on this end zone, which is our east end zone, is going to be the largest board.
Yada yada yada. Oh. They're evolving. They're evolving. Y'all are getting funny. I ain't gonna lie. That jar exploded and put dirt in the back of my throat.
I can't breathe.
Jump. Y'all ain't shit. I'm over y'all. The 112 of y'all that are still in here.
Why are you still here?
What are you doing, man? I'm about to show y'all some desk accoutrement.
Oh, my God.
Got this at a cave.
What the hell is that?
It was a rock with a rock parakeet on it.
A rock parakeet.
I got a wooden hippo. And if this thing blows up again, I'm going to be hot as hell.
End the show.
Okay, it didn't blow up. All right, that's all we got. If y'all ain't got install tickets yet, you better go get them. They're selling like hotcakes. If you want to see somebody break down this Titans draft, you know they're going to have great players that ain't none of y'all watch tape on. You know who did watch tape? Greg Cosell. And Buck Rising was sitting beside him the whole time. So get your install tickets. Get that comment out of the way. See that QR code in the bottom left-hand corner? It works. Put it on your phone. It'll put you right on the Eventbrite page. Get your tickets. They got VIP. If we buy VIP, can we eat the dirt? Brandon, if you buy VIP, I'll eat the dirt with you. I'll eat a spoonful of it. It don't bother to me. Ticket sale goal for Bert to eat more dirt. If y'all sell 100 tickets, in addition to what we've already sold, 100 tickets in addition to what we've already sold, I will eat some dirt.
On the stage?
On stage, hell yeah.
All right.
On stage with whoever your special guest is, because we ain't even announced a special guest yet.
Oh, yeah, I need to get on that, don't
I? Somebody's got to do something around here.
Put the link in the chat and end this shit. I can't talk anymore. I'm gasping.
All right. Appreciate everybody coming out. If you missed today's show, sucks to suck.